Ayatollah Marv, how's it going?
Everything's good.
Yeah, good to have you on the show, man. You know, you guys been making some headlines lately. And
Kind of like,
kinda,
kind of like,
you know.
ruffled a couple of people's feathers.
Yeah, I seen it. I
Oh,
seen
did
it.
you?
I did. I thought we'd get to know you a little bit better. You know, a lot of
Okay.
people might not know who you are or, you know, who you grew up with. So I figured we'd get into your story a little bit and, you know, get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Where'd you grow up at?
Compton, California. Nightmare on Elm Street. Grew up in Compton, original from Compton. Called it Nightmare on Elm Street. We ran Freddy Cougar out of Compton. So got a rich history. Grew up mother and father. Went to school. Did what average people do in a bustling city of Compton at the time. It was a suburban community, home of the spook hunters, the night riders, and the John Burke Society. And we came up on another generation of no nonsense, new breed of black boys, and start creating our own effect and the things that we had. So I grew up in Compton. From originally, our neighborhoods was treetops to swamps, Boot Hill, Front Hood, and Spooktown.
Okay, you mentioned a lot. Well, what years was this that you were referring to?
We're talking about from, we started from the 50s on up to the recent day. I started like 1959.
Okay, so you've been around through it all. You've seen
Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay, how old were you when you first moved to Compton?
I was born in
You were born in Compton.
Yeah.
So this would have been in
1950.
1950. Okay, and what was Compton like for you there when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, Compton was lily white. It was, like I told you, the spook hunters, the Minutemen. These were white dudes that didn't believe blacks could move. After 7 o'clock at night, you couldn't go past Wilmington because the spook hunters would chase you and shoot you with BB guns from out of Victory Park. So my first real interaction, like I tell people, like, we grew up thinking that everybody was all right, that, everybody would be your friends. And these young white boys, I guess they was about 18 and 19 years old, asked us for some information. I went to volunteer to give them this information, and they threw rotten eggs and tomatoes on me. So I'm like 8 years old, and they had the butch haircuts, the T-shirts with the Lucky Strike cigarettes, and it was never forget the Never Like Fords after that, a Crown Victoria, blue and white, and they laughed, had them a good laugh. So I was shocked, like, man, why would somebody do this to me? And went home crying. My mother like, yeah, I told you not to trust white people. Like, man. After that, me and my friends got together. I was so angry about it. I'm like, man, we're getting them back. So we started us a little club, about 6 of us. We was watching Edward G. Robinson and this gang, and it was called the Blackjack Gang. So we went and cut off water hoses and wrapped it with some black tape, and we became the Blackjack Boys. So we went to people's house at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and in Compton, all the mailboxes have is in the door, in your front door. When you open, you just slide the mail in, it hits your floor. So we go at night about 11 o'clock and go take your water hose, put the water hose inside the mailbox and turn the water on. You wake up in the morning, your furniture floating like a So we start terrorizing Compton. We go to Richland Farms. The LA Dodgers lived in Richland Farms at that time, and they had horses and this and that. We'd steal their horses in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning before the horses fed, and ride them all the way to Disneyland, right? And just let them go and play all day and steal white boys' bikes and ride back home. So then one day my cousin, Lil J, he says, man, y'all not blackjack boys, y'all, we treetops. I'm like, treetops? Like, yeah, we are, our hood is treetops. So I live on Elm Street. It's Poplar Street, Maple Street, Cedar Street, Spruce Street. All the streets are named after trees. So at that time when I grew up, from Central, Rosecrans, to Compton Boulevard, to the canal, because it's a canal that separates our sides. And all of that area was originally, we was all treetops. And then in the 70s, they became Palmer Block. Palmer is 1 block away from Arbutus, from Brazil. So they became Palmer Block Crips, and all of them, we was all treetops. Then my brother them, they became Cedar Blocks, because Cedars are dead in the street. You hear a lot of dudes telling you out of LA Crips or this and this and that about what they did, but you very seldom hear, or you never hear them coming talking about they did any drive-bys or did anything in the city of Compton, because our streets are so confusing. Every other street is a dead end. So you turn a corner one way and go another way, and you blocked in. So if you don't know the neighborhood, you can't do nothing in there. So I'm original, and the Piru Street is the west side. It's a street actually called Piru. So the Piru Street is a street. Everybody on Piru Street was just like hustlers. The Bowen family, all of them was bank robbers. So Mickey Blue, he was the oldest brother, and we used to go over there and play football with him. And Mickey, he the first one introduced us to what real money was. And we wanted to be just like Mick and be a bank robber, you know. So the first time we ever heard the word Piru was about 1962. The feds came in and they was looking for him and asked Miss Bowen, like, where's your son? Him and Clarence Grandy, Lonnie Hall, and I think it was Victor Murphy. I'm not sure about Vic. But they like, you know, we looking for him, and the police came out and asked us, hey, you ever seen the Piru Boys? So that was the 60s. I was the anointed of the Piru Boys, you know. Every house on Piru Street is like 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 sons. So I mean, it's a gang of boys on the street. It's a long street. So that was the creation. And Compton is 10 square miles, so we always did everything different. You know, Compton, the city of Compton, we've had more athletes go to the Olympics than any other state. More black athletes go to the Olympics. You know, when you talk about gangster rap, the birth of gangster rap is NWA. We've had, you know, Kendrick Lamar, we had Game, now we got YG, go all the way back. The first rapper to ever have his name on a billboard was DJ Quik on Sunset in the 90s. Quik is the name. So he's the first rapper in the whole United States to ever have his name on a billboard. So we got Venus and Serena Williams. So it's great things that happen out of Compton, you know. And for people to misinterpret it, we don't have any projects in Compton. Everybody is homeowners. You know what I'm saying? You can't come to Compton and find the Nickerson Gardens or the Jordan Down projects. We don't have projects in Compton.
Right. You guys mostly have houses,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
some apartment complexes?
They just the Grandees was an apartment complex. It's 1 block. And then they opened up Wilmington Arms in the 70s, you know.
Okay. You were there before the gangs even formed.
These new gangs. I am the gang. Like I said, from 1950, you know, like I told you, we had gangs. We had who was the Nutty Block Crips. Now, before they was Nutty Block, before they was Grandee, they was called Boot Hill because their neighborhood is right next to a graveyard. So the graveyard, so they were called Boot Hill. Then you got over here on the west side of Compton, or by Enterprise, it was the swamps. So there was swamp area there. So they was the Swamp Boys. So we've all had interchanges. You know what I'm saying? So we've always had gangs. You know, they had the Slausons in LA, they had the businessmen, they had the rebel rousers, they had the gladiators. So, you know, they had the Sleepy Lagoon murder down in Los Angeles with the Mexican gangs, Maravilla, white fence. So it's always been gangs, you know, to the effect that it came into the 70s and the birth in 1969, the birth of the Crips. And they ravaged the black community, and in defense, the Bloods came along, and then Piru came, you know. And Piru was just a mechanism that ain't nobody gonna come in Compton and just run nothing just because they're homeowners and this and that. You ain't gonna take no leather coats, you're not taking shoes. It's not just gonna get took. So it came in a defense, and then it presented itself where it became a culture, and then it started, and that culture came about where we started eating off of each other and forgot who the real enemy was and became enemies of ourselves. You feel what I'm saying?